Before I introduce Dan, I want to tell you very briefly a little bit about myself and why I'm here tonight. And I grew up in this riding. I grew up in West Vancouver. And in fact, my mom's here tonight. She's over there. And my husband and my 2 children live in this riding. I'm also a lawyer and a mediator, and my law firm is in this riding. So I have a very deep connection to West Vancouver. And you know, why do I support the Liberal Party, and why do I want a Liberal candidate in this riding? And I think, like many of us, I dream of a diverse, tolerant, vibrant Canada where we can all be proud leaders in the world and also support our citizens. And I also believe that Michael Ignatieff is a leader we need to help us reach the dream of what we could be as a nation. And I also wouldn't be here if I didn't believe, as I know many of you do, that we're very, very lucky that Dan Veniez decided to enter public life and to do so in our riding. Sure, sure. So I just recently had lunch with Dan at White Spot and got to spend some time with him, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. He is a highly experienced CEO. He's a director. He's a corporate executive. He's an entrepreneur. He's advised global corporations as strategy and a management consultant. And in his 20s, he served as a policy advisor in the federal government, so he knows his way around Ottawa. There would be no on-the-job training for Dan, and he's also fluently bilingual. Our community and BC deserves and needs a member of parliament with the stature and leadership to fight for us in Ottawa and actually be listened to. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dan Veniez.
Hello, everybody. I was going to say some nice things about myself, but Nicole, you did a wonderful job. Thank you very much. Lovely seeing you all here. Thank you for coming on a Thursday evening. Glad it's not snowing or raining. I would first like to welcome Susanna. Where are you? I don't have my glasses on. Susanna, this is Mr. Ignatieff's wife, Susanna. Could you take a bow, please, Susanna? And next to her in beautiful liberal red is Dominic Veniez. That's my wife. Take a bow, honey. And without his beautiful red tie, this is Scott Brison, who's a member of Parliament for King's Hands, Nova Scotia. Scott's a good friend of mine, and as you probably know, he's our finance critic in Ottawa, and I think you're doing an outstanding job there, Scotty. I want to thank Nicole for having introduced us. Nicole, by the way, is an entrepreneur in her own right here in West Vancouver. She's got a very unique, very successful law practice, and she was just named one of Vancouver's top 40 under 40. So I don't know where you are. Where are you? Congratulations on that, lady. People from all corners of the constituency are here this evening. We have people from Powell River. Our riding goes all the way north to Lund, by the way. That's the gateway to Desolation Sound. And we have some folks from Powell River who are here. We have some people from the Sunshine Coast who, there's one of them. Hi, Lorna, nice to see you. From Whistler and from Squamish and from Whistler? Lions Bay, that's as nice as Whistler on some days. Obviously we're here in West Vancouver at the wonderful Kay Meeks Center. One of the founding co-chairs should be here. Is Maggie here? Maggie, there's Maggie Pappas who's there. Say hello to Maggie. You've done a wonderful job here, Maggie. And there are people who live in this constituency who were here because they wanted to come and meet Michael Ignatieff. One of them is a resident of Gibson's, Don Chapman, who flew from Phoenix today to say hello to us. Don, thank you for coming very much. We are here primarily to listen and not give any speeches. We want to take your questions and have a conversation with you on whatever it is you'd like to discuss with us. Set the stage a bit here, folks. We're lucky. We're here because we're Canadians, and I think all of us believe that we're blessed to be Canadians. We've got an awful lot to be grateful for in this country in so many different ways. But we have a lot of work to do because I think all of us recognize, and certainly we recognize, that our best days still lie ahead of us. And to fulfill our true promise and potential, I firmly believe that we need hopeful, optimistic, and outward-looking leadership in Canada. It's a kind of leadership that summons the best in all of us to build on this remarkable project that we call Canada. And I'm a candidate because I know in my heart that leader is Michael Ignatieff, the next Prime Minister of Canada. Michael?
Thank you. I got quality control here because my wife is here. And she said, under no circumstances give a speech, you old fool. Do some listening. So there we are. This is the 17th open mic that I've done across the country. Skill testing question. How many open mic, no holds barred, open mics has the Prime Minister of Canada held with the people of Canada? The answer to this question is? Zero. Zero, exactly, there you go. This is the old-fashioned way to do politics. Up close, no holds barred. I don't know what questions you're going to ask. I don't know what's on your mind. I have an idea because you've got a great man, Veniez, who's going to make a wonderful member of Parliament, who's got his ear close to the ground, knows about what they're thinking in Powell River, knows what they're thinking in Lions Bay, knows what they're thinking right up the Sunshine Coast. You are lucky Canadians. You live in one of those beautiful places on earth. And I know it well, and I love it. We've got some financial heft here in Scott Brison from Hants County, Nova Scotia. And wonderful place too. I just want to say very, very briefly, just one thing to get us started. People often ask me, why go into politics? Why do you do this? I had another life, you may be aware. Why did I give that life up to be in politics? A lot of it has to do with my mom and dad. It has to do with the Canada I grew up in. I grew up in my mother was a homemaker. She'd had a great, she participated in the war, came home, had us as kids. She married this funny Russian immigrant refugee. He worked for the government of Canada for 30 years. You ask where public service comes from, it comes from my dad, from his belief that there was nothing better that you could do than to work for the people of Canada. So I got that from him. But I grew up in a middle-class home, and what a middle-class home meant to me was something very specific in the 50s and 60s and 70s in Canada. It meant that you lived in an equal society, a society grounded in equality of opportunity. And this meant really concrete, definite things. It meant that you grew up in a family where you could expect health care when you needed it. You knew that your dad and your mom, if they worked, would get a pension that they could count on. You knew that when you got to the right age, you'd get post-secondary education. The point I'm making here, to get a little fancy about it, is that the middle-class life that I grew up on was based on equality of opportunity and world-class public goods funded out of general taxation. It's so obvious that it's worth stopping and thinking about that. When you think about why this has been such a successful country for so many generations, it's not because we have the greatest banking system in the world, though it's pretty good. It's not that we have some of the most beautiful landscape and most precious environment in the world. It's not that we have the greatest natural resources and we have commodities that the whole world wants to buy. It's that we're one of the most equal societies in the world. Under the feet of everyone in this country is a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Are these public goods like health care, like pensions, like good post-secondary education, I hope early learning and childcare for every Canadian family, and a government that takes its environmental stewardship obligations seriously so we can hand this beautiful, surpassingly beautiful place on in better shape than we found it. But it's all based on that simple idea of equality of opportunity. No one in this room is better than anybody else, and no one's worse than anybody else. Everybody has that basic equality, and government exists to guarantee and provide that equality to the middle-class family, to all the families of Canada. And you look around this room, you look at the variety in this room, you look at the heterogeneity in this room, you look at the diversity of origins in this room. I can't begin to tell you how many languages are spoken in this room. I can't begin to tell you how many faiths are represented in this room. And this is the strength of Canada. This is the extraordinary ability. I hope that thing's a BlackBerry. Well, it is. But the point here is something very simple. When you ask me why I go into politics, it's to protect that. To protect the Canada I know and love. To maintain it and hand it on in the next generation. Simple stuff. It's all about making sure that Canada I grew up in and love and have confidence in can be handed on with confidence to my children and your children. That's what we're here to do. And I think we're faced with a country where we can look at the last 5 years. Mr. Harper is about to celebrate his 5th anniversary in office. Is the country stronger? Is it more respected on the international stage? Has the government looked after the environment? Is the standard of living of the Canadian middle class more secure now than it was 5 years ago? You know the answer to those questions is no. And that's why it's so important to get a Liberal government. So that we can serve that basic equality of opportunity, that basic hope and optimism that surges through every Canadian family and gives us hope for a better tomorrow. That's what we're here to do. So I've fallen foul of my wife's injunction, don't give a speech. I got carried away, I can't help it. Okay? All right, I'm done. Let's take some questions. Thank you so much.